Hold on, I gotta respond to a text.
Can you turn off the kitchen light? How does that look?
Doesn't change. Oh, yeah.
That's good.
It probably helps kill the reflection too.
That's what I'm saying. I know lighting.
Yeah.
I'm a cinematography.
Cinematography.
What you doing over there?
I was letting my boss know that I'll go to work tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You think you're going to be okay?
I think so.
All right. You think he's okay?
That was very aggressive.
I hope so.
No, I was just trying to make sure you were okay, man.
Yeah, best news. That's great. All right.
All right.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Stacked.
He's a little under the weather.
Yeah, I ate a bad shrimp.
You wish he was.
I swallowed a bad shrimp. And now here I am.
That's what would happen to me if I ate some shrimp.
Yeah.
But any shrimp.
If
Imagine-
I have an allergy.
Imagine eating a bad shrimp and then going on a plane with said bad shrimp in your tum-tum and then taking an hour-long shuttle in a bus with no heat or water and then being dropped off in the middle of Van Nuys.
Sounds fun.
Nothing but the bad shrimp and a Gatorade.
Throwing up on Proximus Caesar.
Yeah.
Were you throwing up on the flight? Or did it
No.
kind of kick in when you got here?
It kicked in. It was just like a tummy ache when I was on the flight.
Mm.
But then when I was on that shuttle, I was like,
Something's happening.
I'm like, this is the last day I'm going to be alive. But I
You didn't yak
I
on the
locked
bus, did
in.
you?
No, I locked in because they do have a bathroom on that shuttle, but it was out of service.
Oh.
So like the stakes were high.
Hmm.
So I thugged it out till we got to the airport, and then I yacked it at the airport.
Okay. Well, at least
And
you
I've been
went
yakking in
somewhere
every hour ever since, but I'm feeling better.
good. Let's see if
So
you yak on this episode. That'd
Yeah.
be really scary.
That'd be great. That'd be great television. Let's see what happens, shall we?
Well, we're talking about scary stuff today, guys. It's the beginning of our Halloween-athon.
Yes.
Our annual Halloween-athon. It's crazy. We've done 4 of these now.
Well,
Yes.
This is our
More or
4th.
This is
less.
our 4th annual Halloween-athon.
That is very surreal.
And like we got like this really cool set and spooky decorations
Yeah,
now.
very fun.
Can you do a good witch cackle?
That's pretty good.
Just
Like that?
The storm brewing above us.
The storm brewing.
Lightning
Like
clashing.
a witch's brew brewing above us.
Get on the broom.
Get on the freaking broom.
There is a broom over
There
there.
is a broom.
It smells really.
Smells like cinnamon.
Yeah, it's very
Got a
intense.
cinnamon broom over there.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing here today?
So today on our episode of Stacked, our inaugural episode of the Halloween-athon, we're talking about specifically movies that scare us. Not so much necessarily the best scary movies, although those two can coincide,
Yes.
but we're talking more personal. What gets under your guys' skin? What movies have really terrified you? There's no, you can interpret that however you'd like, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Ethan, the sick man in the corner.
The sick man from the sick can and the sick van.
Let's just start with this.
Yeah.
What is the scariest movie you've ever seen in your life?
The scariest movie I've ever seen in my life is the movie Fire in the Sky.
Oh, we've talked about this a little bit. in the
Yeah.
past. Why don't you refresh the audience's memory on this?
Well, so for as long as my little pea brain head could remember, up here on my noggin, up yonder, top here, I have had a deadly fear of aliens, of specifically little gray men.
specifically,
And it all started when my parents showed me the Tim Burton film Mars Attacks when I was a kid.
Oh.
And
Like
it's
the
a co-
big brains.
yeah.
You don't like those.
And then later that night, I had the most vivid dream of them like invading my house and like taking me away. You
like
know?
probing and all that stuff.
Exactly. And so I've been afraid of that ever since. And so I feel like the film that captures that terror the most is Fire in the Sky, when they have that scene where you finally figure out what happens
To the guy.
who's disappeared.
Yeah.
And like what's going on in that spaceship and like the way the aliens look. It's very uncanny.
Mhm.
And like the
Totally.
tools that they use by putting it down his throat and his eyes.
It's like it's
Oh.
almost like a fucked up dentist kind
Yeah.
of situation going on.
It's very
And it just
organic.
sucks because like I think the first 2/3 of that movie is really boring.
And then the last
And it
bit's,
feels like a
fucking
Lifetime movie.
horrifying.
Yeah, and then when it gets there, it gets really terrifying.
Yeah. No, yeah, I hadn't seen this movie myself, but I have seen that scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fucking terrifying. And I'm not even like specifically scared of that stuff. So I can't even imagine what it must have been like for you to see him, because he gets like wrapped in this thing. And then,
Yeah,
like, kind of like
he gets
clogged
like suffocated in
through.
like a skin bag. Or
Yeah,
something.
it's like some kind of like, I don't know. It's like a membrane that goes on top of his body, and like
yeah.
it's horrifying. No, I can see why you'd be scared, especially since you have that very particular like niche fear.
Experience.
Yeah,
It
totally.
was a close encounter, and it could have been real. It could have happened. We don't know.
Who knows?
I think it did.
I think it did too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To who?
to me.
That would be crazy.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what happened to you. That's what caused your stomach pain.
maybe.
Well,
Well, you did see what happened 2 episodes ago. I'm thinking I'm still reeling from that little
Yeah,
that
maybe.
little awkward incident that I had. That little mess.
So anyway, well, you survived. So.
I survived.
Brandon, how about you?
Really?
What scares the shit out of you? Because you've gone on record in the past to say that nothing scares you.
Really, like, existential things scare me.
So it's not so much like the gore or like the ghosts. It's more the dread.
Well, I think a good horror film establishes like a sense of dread and like keeps it going. Like often in horror movies, I mean, the people who are critical, people who watch a bunch of horror movies, we get tired of movies that are jump scare after jump scare after jump scare.
Sure.
Because it ruins the effect of something that is like scary.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like think of just a terrible example off my head, but there are a dime a dozen out there. I'm sure you can find something on Netflix or Amazon Prime that judges that. But I mean, nothing quite captures my fear like a film like The Conjuring 2. And I know that it might be one of yours on the here.
I'm glad you bring it up, because
here.
that does touch something very very okay. Why don't you go ahead? Let's talk about Conjuring.
I think James Wan, the way he directs horror movies and movies in general, is his style is so like dynamic.
Yeah.
Because he maps out his locations beforehand. He lets you get to know the characters first before really starting any of the scarier stuff in it. And then once you finally get to the parts where like there's like terrifying things happening to a normal family, and they're inexplicable. Like your scientific brain or your skeptic brain will go, oh, like this can't be happening. You know, it's like fake. It's like they're doing it just 'cause. But he just finds a way to drag out sequences for long enough to the point where you forget that there could be a jump scare at the end. And sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't. And effectively speaking, like I think that scene in the hallway with your old friend Valak is one of my favorite scenes.
No, yeah, I mean, like, it is fantastically done. Like, this movie is beautifully directed, and you nailed it on the head that he lays out such a clear sense of geography. And I think we talked about this before, that we all kind of feel that James Wan is one of the great like formalist directors of our time.
Yeah.
And I really see it, and especially in that scene, he has such a clear sense for camera direction, knows how to kind of ratchet up the tension and how to exploit the way an audience is anticipating things to happen. And yeah, there's this one shot of Valak the nun standing in a hallway, and it still kind of sticks in my head.
It sends shivers down your spine.
It really
because
does.
it's like you expect a monster or a demon to like run at you right away or to not waste a moment, but it's just standing
and
there.
it just stares, and it just walks to the next room like it never happened. And also
You
the fact
wanna-
that
you want to go?
yeah, and and the fact that it takes on the form of a nun is also really like because like
a nun is pure.
yeah, I'm not Catholic, but
Are you scared of nuns?
Well,
just in
now I
general?
am because of the like there's
Because
a
of this movie.
Well,
So
there's
it
a-
wasn't like a pre-existing fear.
I
that you
do
had.
okay. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of the Catholic Church, so I've always kind of found
Who
it a
is?
little.
He's
Man.
scared of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I'm a little scared of the Catholic
Scaredy
Church, to be
pants.
honest.
If the Pope comes up to you, he'll be like,
But yeah, I'm with you there. Conjuring is fucking terrifying, and it's also like a fantastic movie. Like you said, they build up the characters, and by the end, your fear is not only instilled in like the terror of the demons and what have you, but also care for the characters.
what happens to the family?
Yeah.
What happens to Patrick Wilson and
Vera Farmiga.
Vera Farmiga's characters?
It's fantastic stuff.
Brandon, why are you so scared of The Conjuring? Like, what specific thing about it
Like what
haunts
terrifies
you?
me?
Yeah, is it like are you just scared of like something of like being haunted
I
or
don't.
possessed?
I don't think it's the situation that scares me. I think it's
The
just
presentation.
it's the way that one directs the movie. It's like so off-putting. It's like there are sequences, and I always say it's super impressive when a filmmaker can have a scene during the day and still scare you.
Yeah.
Because the scene with Valak, that's during the day.
Yeah, it's broad daylight.
And then
In a house.
the scene with the TV old man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
in the
just
house,
they're just
that's
doing an interview
during
in the day.
And often the daylight is like you're like, oh, I'm safe. There's nothing happened. This is going to be a story scene.
Yeah.
But he mixes and mashes the two to the point where like there may not be a jump scare at the nighttime sequences, but he does it with audio. He does it with the way like the camera moves and the way he portrays demons, which is very unique. Like if you look at the Annabelle movies that were later released and watched, I haven't seen them, but if you've watched the trailers,
Yeah.
you see like jump scares that are in the movie that are like taken from a scene directly, and it's like a demon just running at a door or something like that. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
supposed to be the scariest thing. And yes, it's like with zombies running fast. Like that can be a terrifying thing, but it can also be like take the tension out of anything after
Mhm.
it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
So yeah, I think it's more the presentation of it than it actually is a demon coming to haunt me in real life.
What's your biggest irrational fear?
Irrational?
Irrational.
Irrational.
Oh, man.
Give me a sec.
Okay.
I might. Do you have one on? Do you have
I
one
mean,
on?
mine's
deck?
low grade men. That's irrational.
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if that's irrational.
Like it get, maybe it's looking less and less likely these days.
Oh, you
but
don't think they're real?
what?
You don't think little gray men are real?
No, I do. That's why it's looking. That's why it's looking.
It's
like
more
more
rational.
rational.
More rational.
So like, what's something that you're like, okay, this clearly doesn't exist, but like this gives me the heebie-jeebies. Is there one something like that? Come on.
I guess demons in general, just like
the
being haunted.
demon in
Like,
general.
I personally I don't believe in like ghosts or anything,
Yeah.
but every now and then I
I-
kind of get that feeling, that tingling in your spine, like you're being watched.
It's like the what's the demons that we talk about that are like from other dimensions? What are those called? Like the ones from the mist or whatever. Like what is
Just-
that?
Like the Lovecraftian
I'd call
horror.
them.
Lovecraftian.
I'd call them beings.
The Lovecraftian horror. I think stuff that you cannot personally like picture.
Comprehend.
Yeah, like I think of something, and I do not think this movie is really scary in any way. But 2 years ago, Smile. Shout out Chapman and Parker Finn. That
Parker Finn.
that demon. that
Oh, at the
Smile-
end.
Yeah, like I've never seen anything like that.
All
in a
practical too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Looks great.
No
freaking
creepypasta,
idea.
no like thing that pops up online.
Yeah.
Like just randomly, and I'm like, that type of stuff is scary because I've never imagined anything like that existing before.
Mhm.
So something like that, in essence, where it's like massive and like terrifying to look at and like inhumane.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get you. No,
But-
that's fair.
It doesn't haunt my dreams or anything. Like I don't have paralysis.
What haunts your
dreams.
dreams? What keeps you up at night?
More realistic things.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about movies with realistic fears then.
Oh,
I feel
Okay.
like that's a great like.
I got
know.
one.
Yeah.
I got one. This is one of my favorite scary movies actually as well. This is a realistic fear because this shit has happened and can happen. I want to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Ooh.
the original 1975,
75. I think so.
I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by Toby
Hooper.
Maguire.
Toby Maguire, by Toby Hooper.
When he was a baby.
I'm a director now. It's my Tobey Maguire impression. I'm Spider-Man. I don't direct. Continue.
Anyway, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, it's one of those like pivotal classic films from like the late 20th century horror out of Hollywood. And this is for my money, probably still one of the scariest movies that's ever been produced. Basically, if anyone doesn't know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre follows a group of young adults
Yeah.
who by circumstance end up on the property of a family called the it starts with H.
Hendersons.
The Hendersons.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Anyway, they run across a cannibal family, and which is primarily led quote unquote by the youngest of the bunch.
He's like their
Leatherface.
enforcer.
Yeah, the enforcer of the bunch, Leatherface, who is a skin wearing. He wears like a mask made of human skin, and he carries a chainsaw. It's kind of a classic, part of who he is.
Yeah.
And these movies success throughout their franchise kind of, not only does the Texas Chainsaw franchise have an incredibly convoluted timeline, because there's like 3 timelines going on in that franchise, but this first movie is especially unique because it is the only one that completely plays itself straight. None of the other ones really play it straight. There's always some kind of camp that accompanies it, even when there is a lot of brutality and seriousness going on.
Yeah.
You know, this movie kind of this franchise fell into that trap of like the 2010s, like let's make everything dark and gritty.
Yeah.
But this 1970s film really did something, like it had the kind of like that analog horror kind of touch to it.
Right.
And it adds this real like kind of dingy grunge texture that really, I think, amplifies the horror because it feels so much more realized.
Right.
And there's something about it that just gets under my skin. And, you know, there's like that almost 20-minute sequence towards the end of the dinner table. And I'm like Ethan has this list on Letterboxd. The tag is I'd rather myself or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd rather myself if I
be trapped in that.
Yeah, no, it's for real. Like just end it fast for me.
Wow.
And yeah, that movie really gets under my skin. There's something so like horrifying about the imagery. And it's so classic. And also the movie's also fantastically made because it is also a commentary on the meat industry and the way in which we dehumanize animals that we view as lesser than us, you know. And
it's a vegan movie.
Yeah, it is a classic vegan movie.
Huh.
Shout out to Steve Kalinsky for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys have for your realistic, your rational fears? It could be think like serial kill things that happen in real life, serial killers.
Here's one.
Oh yeah?
That I had on that tag.
Yeah?
This is what started the tag, dream scenario.
Oh yeah, that would
That's a rational fear?
Yeah, it's more grounded. Like
it is a little grounded.
Sort of just like always.
You know, with
this is gonna happen to me, guys. Everyone's gonna be thinking about me all the time.
Well, the thing is, with neural linking, you know, becoming a thing eventually, like it could happen.
Yeah.
Or
Elon
just like
Musk, he's a freak.
I'm not necessarily saying like this specific way, but sort of the ideas that it brings up of like always being in the public eye.
Yeah.
You know,
be a frustrating part of life.
Yeah, because it's more of an allegory.
Doesn't sound like it'd be for you. Would you love it?
No, but I wouldn't kill myself.
Even if like everyone had dreams that you were like brutally like tearing them apart and like
I would just
doing stuff.
I would shrink in like.
And they would all hate you.
Well, not all of them. I feel like there would be some fans out there.
There'd be some fans.
No, that's the thing. There would be some fans. Surely.
I would shrink into obscurity. I wouldn't want to be around anybody, but that's kind of like the perfect excuse to go off the grid.
Yeah. Everybody hates you. So stay tuned, everyone.
But the thing is, for me, the more of what freaks me out about that movie isn't so much being in other people's consciousness; it's other people being in mine. Yeah. When, like, whether I'm one of the, like, for example, the students that he teaches, or towards the end, like he gets like ads from influencers in his dreams.
Yeah.
Which that was like, no.
That's a boundary.
That is a dead boundary for me.
Dead boundary.
Yeah, no way.
We can never
cross.
At
least if it was you, right? You don't have to be the one to have dreams about like yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Having dreams about other people. You're the unique person in the room.
What about you, Brandon?
Cool. Yeah, what about you?
What are you scared of that's real?
Honestly, the most terrifying thing to me is like a natural disaster. Because when I was growing up, we didn't really have natural disasters in Arizona. So like whenever I see a movie like
and then the
Earthquake or 10.5 or The Towering Inferno.
Or We the Brave.
Well, what's the scariest disaster movie that like genuinely like puts you in a mood? Generally like rumbles your jumbles.
Rumbles my jumbles.
Gets your boots clicking back and forth.
In a way, The
skeleton.
Mist is kind of a disaster movie.
In a way.
Yeah.
And it kind of
it's
plays
not
into
as
that,
grounded, but yes.
It plays into that existential horror that you were talking about
I
earlier.
think more so that it's the effect of something like that that's what I really find terrifying. It's not the natural disaster itself, it's what it brings out of people.
Exactly.
It's how somebody can go from being the nicest person ever to being like super selfish and like trying to like kill their way to the top of the food chain, because civilized society is the only thing keeping us together. So when we lose that because of a traumatic event or like or like something massive like an earthquake that like shatters governments and bureaucracy, or like Shin Godzilla where it like tears apart the fabric of which we do life and business.
Yeah.
It leaves us like, haunted and like isolated.
Nothing more scary in the world than anarchy.
Right.
real.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, depends on your definition.
That's true.
Well, if you're in like Montana,
Social
I'm
anarchy,
sure
I
it's
100% endorse. But if we're talking about like violent anarchy,
fine, which is what that was.
Yeah.
In The Mist, it's definitely the effects of it, like a religious bigot taking over control of this small supermarket
yeah.
and telling people, "I have the answers," which she did. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
No. Ethan, you watched The Mist a few months ago now, I think.
Yeah.
And you were I remember you were talking to me about how like you love how that movie kind of that grocery store can kind of be like a almost like a diorama for our real world.
Yeah. I just like how we view like the end, you know, and how this is like everything that happens in this grocery store. Every type of person plays a part in viewing like what is it to like stop like
To comprehend your
to comprehend
existence.
your ending.
Yeah.
You know, your demise, and I think that just plays on a grander scale to Earth because everyone is terrified of what happens after you die.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so we get all these people with their own agendas, and they can utilize fear of the unknown to manipulate people. You know, and I just think I think The Mist does a really great job of doing that. It's
Yeah.
fun, and it's great in black and white too. I'd rather watch it in black and white than color now.
I feel like that's a movie that would benefit from the black and white for
Yeah.
sure.
Because I feel like it helps because the CGI is not great anymore. Exactly. Huh? We're a little clever here on this dang show. Ha ha ha. But yeah.
I've got a movie I want to talk to you guys about.
Yeah.
I've been dying to talk to you guys about it since I saw it 2 days ago at the Lamley NoHo 5.
Oh.
It's not playing in AMC or anything.
Ooh.
It's a movie technically it's from last year, but it's getting its wider release this year. It's called Red Rooms. It's a movie from Quebec, directed by hold that thought, Pascal Plante. First time director, I believe. And this film follows a girl who is a model / like she kind of moonlights as a hacker. And the whole deal is that she has this morbid fascination with true crime stuff.
Yeah.
Anything, the documentaries, everything. But specifically, she's recently been really into this one case about a serial killer who he does this thing called Red Rooms. So anyone who doesn't know what Red Rooms are, Red Rooms was once this myth that has now been revealed to be a real thing in our world, where on the dark web, people can pay money to watch a live video feed, like a live stream of someone getting murdered. And the case that she's really interested in and fascinated by is about a guy who hosts these live streams.
Yeah.
And has killed 3 teenage girls in Quebec. And so, you have this kind of like mystery going on, right? Like, what's this guy's deal? Is he really the guy who did it? Because, it's a courtroom trial, really, most of the movie.
Yeah.
But really the movie is about this girl and her kind of descent into madness, her obsession with this, and how it drives her to dark places, and how it contorts her mind in a way that she starts to compromise, and not only like in her own health, but also in her moral principles.
Oh.
She gets almost like directly involved in the case, which
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil. But yeah, it's fantastic. And the tone, oh my God, there's a scene in the courtroom. It is the most tense court scene I've ever seen.
I like
ever.
courtroom dramas.
Yeah, you would like it, and it's Brandon. It is fantastically directed.
Yeah.
The acting is so good, and yeah, there's a scene where I'll just say something happens in the courtroom, and I'm always a lean back person in the theater. I locked right into that movie. I think I was like this for like the last half hour of that movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really got under my skin. There's something like really just existential about her kind of plight of losing her mind through this obsession. And it's a great commentary on our culture's obsession with true crime and the dehumanization it comes with, the internet's culpability in allowing this to happen.
Right.
Because the dark web, it's an unfortunate reality of our world that it exists, and it can't go away because you just have to take down all of the computers, which
is not going to happen. Y2K is not real.
It'll
That's not
happen.
happening. You think so?
We'll take down all the computers. Yeah, we'll have a fucking Dune war.
You know what? Yeah, the what do they call it? The Butlerian Jihad, is that what they called it?
Yeah.
What else scares you guys?
Existential dread.
The Deep Sea.
Wow.
Oh, the deep sea.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
But
something
I
you-
don't feel like there's been a film that has done a great job
I think
doing this.
I-
Maybe Finding Nemo.
The abyss.
no.
Yeah, when they go in the abyss with the anglerfish.
Ironically, I think Titanic actually does a really good job at capturing
The dark
that.
water is pretty scary.
No, it's not the fact that the ship sinks so slowly
Yeah.
and that it's like so ineptly handled by the people involved, and you just have so many helpless people not knowing what to do and just being dragged down by this giant machine that
Yeah.
shouldn't be possible but is, you know?
Yeah.
And that's terrifying to me in terms of the deep blue sea. But like I was never one to be like terrified by like something like Jaws. Like one shark doing a bunch of damage. Like
Oh,
that.
that's good. No, I think Jaws is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you scared to go in the ocean? Do you have a little swim?
Yeah. I watched Jaws for the first time when I was at Pismo Beach, California.
You watched it at a beach?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I was scared to get in the water because I thought the tide was dragging me in. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, then Jaws is going to get
I
me.
remember when I was a kid, like when we do like swim class or whatever, if I wanted to make myself swim faster and motivate myself, I would just think like, "There's a shark behind me. There's a shark behind me."
You ever
And
imagine there's a shark in the pool at night?
yeah, I've
yeah,
done that.
but that's fun.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Scary.
I like doing that in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in the pool late at night, I'd be like, oh, there's like fish in here because there was no ocean nearby. I can't see
Yeah.
no fish. So I was like imagining like wildlife and such.
Mhm.
I'm less scared by the wildlife factor and more like we don't know what's down there.
It is
The unknowable.
the unknowable.
Yeah.
That is the scariest thing
Are there any good movies that have
about the ocean. Per se,
that have
specifically?
like shown the fear of the ocean for you guys?
Well, there's one scene from the scene from Aquaman, the trench scene in Aquaman. That kind of freaks me out. That is kind of scary.
You never know.
Cool.
what's
I'm
down
trying to
there.
think. Is there a movie that has like done like the under? There's that Kristen Stewart movie.
Oh,
Is it called Underwater?
Yeah.
It just
It was boring.
it felt more like a sci-fi
Yeah.
adventure rather than and with horror elements.
It could have been cool. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
It'd be cool to do like an alien style movie, but
That's
in
what
the
they
water.
tried to do.
Yeah, I think so.
But I just don't think it all worked out too
Yeah,
well.
and there's a lot of great stuff there. You have like the Kraken, Cthulhu stuff. You know. You
Oh,
can
I'm
really-
scared of the Kraken. I was
Kraken's
always so scared to watch the end of Pirates 2.
3.
No,
Two?
the end of 2 is when the Kraken
Ah.
attacks the boat. 3 and then the movie starts at 3 with Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones' locker.
Yeah. I remember
That was
now.
scary.
You don't like that?
No,
It is spooky.
big squid.
I mean, the ocean is terrifying, but mostly it's like because we don't know it, it's almost like less scary
Mm-hmm.
because like it's more scary if you think about it because
Yeah.
you're like if you're in the ocean and you're like stranded in the middle of the ocean, I could see that being terrifying. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're like,
totally.
oh shit, like I don't know where if I get dragged down, I could die.
Yeah.
But you're by the time you get that far down, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're like Titanic. You know.
No, yeah. I think I have a more positive view of the ocean just because I love being in the
Yeah.
ocean. And
Yeah.
that's always been something I've always loved.
I
like,
think there's been a
swimming
lot
and
of
stuff.
ocean propaganda lately.
Huh?
Propaganda that's made the ocean seem more pleasant,
Like what?
like Avatar: The Way of Water.
That's it?
That's propaganda.
Yeah, no, it's propaganda for the ocean.
For the
Blue
ocean.
Planet too.
That, our
James
ocean
Cameron is
doesn't-
pretty
our ocean doesn't
pro-ocean.
look like that, though.
No, but it's adjacent.
True.
But
I guess.
if you look inward on yourself as
I'll
like
try.
I think something I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the Charlie Kaufman movie Synecdoche, New York.
I haven't seen it, but I've
I
been hearing
have.
about it.
I think it's okay.
No, I think what thematically he gets at in that movie is like super depressing. It's like a nihilistic sort of measurement of where we are as a species and why we do the way we do things. And I hate to sound like I might be like pretentious when examining this movie. I don't even love this movie. I like this movie,
Yeah.
but it's like it's one of those things where the more you think about it, it's like the more complicated life gets when life shouldn't be that complicated.
Yeah.
And I just feel so lonely and isolated and sad thinking that my dreams may never be fulfilled the way I want them to be.
Oh,
You
they
know?
absolutely won't.
And he says, and that's true because
Yeah.
like if you make a plan, it's bound to fail because like life is a unpredictable mess.
Yeah.
And that's why I love like the horror existential dread of that movie. It makes me feel so down and scared for my own future,
Yeah.
even though I'm like 25 years old.
Whoa.
So anyway, is there anything that makes you feel that way, Chris?
What, that kind of like question my
Existentially
my own
dreadful.
existence?
Yeah, like because like there's that kind of fear where it's not because I guess you thinking about your own demise in like a
Yeah.
horror movie sense could also make you feel that upset or
Definitely.
scared. But I don't know if there's anything that makes you feel scared from a film like that.
Yeah, the thing is like the that's a good question. Movies that fill me with existential dread. The one
Buried.
Buried? Yeah.
Buried. That's
Buried.
pretty scary.
I
True.
mean, you got to think about whether or not you're going to die.
Yeah.
You're going to run out of oxygen at some point.
Oh.
See, a lot of the horror films or films in general that I've seen that terrify me, existential stuff, it doesn't terrify me. It fascinates me more than terrifies me.
Yeah.
It's more like the human experience being conveyed in a horror lens that scares me.
Right.
So for example, one of my favorite horror movies as well is The Babadook.
Oh yeah, and that
Love.
combines like
Yeah, there
an
is-
existential dread with like
Absolutely.
a physical evil.
Yeah.
It's
We've all
been
seen
a
the
while
movie.
since I've seen it.
It's
Yeah,
the 10th
you-
anniversary.
Yeah,
that's
it's getting
right.
a re-release actually
Yeah,
this year.
this
Last
week
time I saw it
actually.
This week, yeah.
Was our
Happy
horror
Babadook.
class.
But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Babadook tells a story of a mom and a son. They were in a very unfortunate car accident, and the father passed away. And the movie is about them kind of going through the trials of grief, learning to kind of reconcile themselves and each other, and with this experience and this horrible thing that happened to them. But in the process, grief takes on the form of this kind of unknowable, existentially dreadful monster called the Babadook, which is kind of almost invented by the child.
Yeah.
It's almost like his imagination manifested it into existence.
Like kind of like a Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
style.
kind of like that. Yeah, and it's terrifying. The Babadook, it almost has no screen time. But in that time, the dread that you feel throughout, the eeriness, that house is so creepy.
But it's
And-
combined with that feeling that you kind of get from my movie. with
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Night to New York, where it's like your fear for your own personal existence.
Yeah.
And like mental
Your mental
stability.
well-being. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that is definitely one of those movies that like shook me when I first saw it, and it still does. I revisited that movie earlier this year, and it still gets under my skin. Just like all of the themes it plays with, and I love the way the movie ends with. Spoiler alert. The movie ends with them not destroying the Babadook,
Right.
but locking it away and going in every now and then to give it food.
yeah.
And I remember I saw this movie with Angelica, and she was a little bit like, "Oh, I wonder why they're not just like lock it away and move out." But really, I the way that I interpret that is that grief isn't something that you can just lock away forever.
Yeah.
It's something that is going to be a part of you forever, and you have to find healthy ways to deal with it and enter that room, that proverbial room, when you need to, and
Yeah.
have that exchange, and then walk out and process it healthily. And I don't know, there's something so lovely to me about how the actions of the characters tie so perfectly in a thematic way to what the movie's about.
Consequentially,
Yeah.
like even the realistic things in that movie outside of the Babadook are scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people would say that movie is kind of boring.
Not for me.
No,
That's
but
not
it's
boring.
not. It's not. It may be a little bit slower paced comparatively to some horror movies that people are used to.
Especially
seeing
modern
nowadays.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the new age of what's it called? What's the horror generation called now? Elevated horror.
Elevated
yeah.
horror.
Yeah, with that, it's like you're getting so many like a variety of like different kinds of horror movies. I mean, this year we have like Late Night with the Devil
Mhm.
and what else came out? In Violent Nature.
Yeah.
Drastically different movies.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, still under the same cloth of horror. And
Mhm.
Babadook perfectly emblems that.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of getting towards the end. Is there any
Yeah.
movies you guys want to just talk about? One last movie.
Let's see. I want to talk about the biggest jump scare I've ever had in my life.
Which one?
I won't talk about Alien Romulus.
Okay.
Go back 2 episodes.
That was a good jump scare though.
That was a great jump scare.
Anyway.
I'm talking about Barbarian.
Oh, come on. Let's talk about Barbarian.
That is like,
We're all big fans.
We experienced that together.
yeah. and I've never seen you jump out of your seat higher.
Because we've never
You're
been
kicking your
scared.
legs like Daffy Duck.
It's unexpected.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, we
And-
were like, what is going on?
Did you guys know anything about this movie going in?
Okay.
I didn't know a damn thing. I didn't even know it was a horror movie. To
I
be
had
honest.
never seen the trailer. I had seen a poster online and an image of Bill Skarsgård and Georgina Campbell. That's it.
Yeah.
And then Ethan said, "Want to go see it?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever."
So for all you knew, it could have been a drama or something.
no, it,
you knew it was a horror.
I mean, it looked like a horror
Okay.
movie based on like the poster.
I literally just knew the title. And that was
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Wow.
Barbarian could be anything.
Yeah, because it could be like I don't know. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be a time travel movie.
But just oh man, what an appropriate way on like how to shock a viewer.
Yeah.
You know,
so subversive.
jump scares are so cheap most these days.
Especially these days. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Cat
only done
and,
them.
jumping
like-
out from behind something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, it's fake. Okay, and then suddenly turn the mirror in.
Somebody accidentally knocking something over.
Right.
Yeah, but the way Zach Krager like builds that tension throughout the whole first act is just it's great.
Yeah.
James Wan
'Cause
esque.
It's very James
You're
Wan-y.
always on your toes thinking about what's going on, just like the characters.
It's a social situation.
Your feelings parallel them, which I feel like is like what makes a great horror film. Is like when you know as much as the people who are in trouble, you know.
Because
Uh,
the unknown is the scary, like we
Yeah.
always talk about.
yeah, like Alien, I feel like you know just as much about anything as those crew members did.
Yeah.
You know, and you're never revealed anymore, besides what's told you through like Mother and everything like that in terms of like the ulterior motives. You
Mhm.
know, but you don't know anything about the xenomorph.
Mm-mm.
And for the first act of this film, you don't know anything about what's going on. You just know there's a basement, and you just keep finding all these gross stuff.
It's
And
like
they
a
keep
domino.
it. They're curious, and we're curious, so we keep exploring. And then that was a bad call because I think it's
For real.
really
No, for
scary.
real. The movie is terrifying.
It's so scary.
I'm sure you're talking about Skarsgård's.
Yeah, but just
untimely-
getting beaten to death.
Yeah. We're gonna get into spoilers just in case anyone is concerned.
It's been out for 2 years.
Yeah, it's been out for a bit,
But
but
a lot of people
go watch
don't
it.
like this movie.
I know.
They're weird.
I've met a lot of people who don't like this movie, and I'm not gonna lie. I have never been able to understand their points.
We hate you. We
Um,
want to hurt you.
but yeah, like I fuck with this movie heavy.
Yeah.
I think not only is it like a masterclass in tension and stakes and stuff like that, but it's also a wonderful
don't
social
worry.
commentary on the relationship between men and women.
Mhm.
Specifically, like
Yes.
the kind of specifically misogyny. Obviously, is a big part
Right.
of the theme.
And
of
the
this
true
movie.
reason why it's called Barbarian.
Yeah, it's not.
There's
like-
3 barbarians.
Yeah, it's Skarsgård, who's like the chauvinist. Then there's
Justin
Long, who's like
The
the
rapist.
rapist, and then there's the
the-
guy in the basement
Who's also the rapist.
who is the serial
Right.
rapist.
Serial rapist.
And it's like the movie does this great thing of showing us like the horror of almost like the almost domesticated horror of
Men.
of men,
Yeah.
and like
yeah.
you know
Better Than Men by Alex Garland.
I liked Men.
It's okay.
I thought the ending of
Okay,
Men
Ethan
was
likes
creepy.
Men.
I like Men. Ba-ba-ba-da-da.
yeah, no, I've got nothing but great things to say about this movie.
Yeah, I just
Give it a freaking one of these.
I was one of the few people to cave. I got the I want to support Zach Krager
Yeah.
and anything he does. So I caved and I bought the digital version on Apple, but they have a commentary on there.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Cool.
Okay.
yeah, it's cool. I get to watch that eventually. Next time I watch it, maybe I'll do that. But I just think it's not just that scene, because I think throughout there's just effective tension
Yeah.
with even after that.
And there's still more stuff to explore and uncover.
right.
Absolutely.
That makes you uncomfortable as a viewer, because
Right.
nobody is like a black or white sort of character
Yeah.
in the movie, despite how little we do know about them,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And I think that's kind of the wonderful point of it all. You know,
Kind
it's masked in this like kind of like what you'd expect out of any trashy horror movie nowadays.
Right.
Like you go into it, and everybody did go into it like that, because the trailer wasn't very
Didn't
good.
show anything.
It didn't show anything, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's pretty stereotypical."
Yeah, it did. It looked like the Night House.
Yeah, which
You're just
you
like,
know,
what's happening here?
but you know, a lot of people like that for separate reasons. You know, they like the
Not us.
not us.
Not us.
We watched that trailer too many times. But not us.
Brand, do you have a horror movie you'd like to shout out before we wrap things
Come
up?
back to me.
All right.
I want you to do your last
yeah.
one.
I want to talk about Ringu or Ring, the original Japanese film. Little known fact about Ring is that its original.
It's falling.
I'm rocking all over.
So there are multiple versions of Ring. There's been sequels and what have you, but the original Ring, there was the American version. There's the Japanese version, but there's a secret, almost secret Japanese version right before that was made by the same crew, same team, same actors, everything, but it condenses the entire film to the house. There is nothing else in that movie. And
Really?
it's all shot on like this shitty DV cam kind of aesthetic, really grungy stuff.
It's
I'm a
like-
big fan of analog stuff.
It's
horror.
pre-analog.
Yeah, it's
Because-
real, like, it's like tape.
I feel like a lot of people capitalized on like the Blair Witch aesthetic
Yeah.
after the fact, and then it's like fake analog.
Yeah.
Where it's like Paranormal Activity kind of feels like fake analog,
Mhm.
even if it's authentic.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I get you. But yeah, there's something
Dogma
about
95.
the way that film, that original film. There's a great video essay about this movie by Accented Cinema on YouTube. Shout out to them. Yeah, and it's this great like masterclass intention and the use of film form to manipulate the audience, and how there's something uncanny about shooting this on something that isn't so pristine looking.
Yeah.
You know, I think I talked about this in my Texas Chainsaw bit about how manipulating film form can really accentuate things and dial up the tension and the horror and the like we talked about, the unknowable touch that aesthetic brings. That, you know, it's the same kind of fear that you get in watching Skidamarink.
Right.
I have not seen that yet.
You have oh.
I'm very curious what you think.
Do you think I'd like it?
I think you'd be middle of the road on it. I think you'd respect it. I don't know if you'd like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's different.
It's different.
I think I
I
should
love
have
it.
seen it in a movie theater.
That's a great
Yeah.
movie to see in the theater.
Well, everybody, I feel like that movie, based on what I've heard, just doesn't play anywhere else as well.
No, yeah. Maybe if you had like a little TV in your own room, maybe
like
that would be
if
real
you
spooky.
had one of
Ooh,
those
yeah.
4x3 TVs.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
are
CRTV.
black boxes.
Yeah, that would be spooky.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day I'll get one.
All right. You're looking at Letterboxd with your toes over here. I was gonna try to film you doing it, but this is amazing. He's scrolling through Letterboxd with his toes right now. So what film do you want to talk about?
It's so difficult.
What's scary, Brandon?
What is scary for me? You know me. I'm not very like terrified by anything.
He's a tough guy.
He is. That he is.
He's a
tough.
steady mass on the summer storm winds.
I'm gonna say this, and
He's gonna
it's,
say this.
It's not really scary per se. It's something real, right? The Invitation, the Karen Kusama.
Oh,
movie.
wow.
I
Deep pull from film school.
Yeah, I think that we're not in a cult, but we know LA people. You guys are LA people. Do you know people like that?
I know cult adjacent people.
Cult
Yeah.
adjacent. See? But that's something that could really happen where you're like being gaslit by your entire like friendship and community into believing that this like you need to be doing this or that nothing's wrong and they just want you to do what they want you to do.
Totally.
And I think that uneasy tension is one of my favorite things to mess with. Is with, like it's kind of like a game. It's kind
Yeah.
of fun.
There's kind of like a
You want to do it?
No, I don't.
You want this movie to
guys.
happen?
We're starting the stacked cult.
Yep.
We're gonna be up front.
Stackies.
It's a cult.
We're gonna
Join
kill
us.
every celebrity, starting with Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie.
Why him? What did he do to you?
I wasn't a big fan of House.
Did you watch it on the flight?
No, it's like on the gym sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He upsets you.
He okay, I get it. Like he's got a cane, and he's like tough. Okay.
For anybody who's a Fox fan.
A Fox fan?
Yeah.
Is that it? Plays on Fox.
Yeah. Used to. Long time ago.
So we're gonna kill this guy.
Never mind.
So
Ignore
cults.
him.
Yeah, the Invitation. Yeah, I love that it plays with that social aspect to.
Yeah.
You know, there's like, because at first, like you said, great horror films, like they keep you. Well, no, actually, Ethan, you said this.
Yeah.
They position the audience in the same shoes as the characters,
Right.
in the sense that we own for. I'm sure there are examples otherwise, but for the most part, it's good to immerse your audience in the shoes of your characters, not only because you care for them, but also you're along the ride with them.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the invitation. At first, you're like, oh, it's just awkward. You know,
just a party.
It's like a weird dinner.
It's
like
a weird
whatever.
dinner party.
But eventually, it's like, oh fuck no, this is an initiation to a cult.
Yeah.
And there's something like really unnerving about this movie. It's really eerie.
Some movies try to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it works as well as this one. And I think that's because
It's Kusama's direction.
yeah, you think Logan Marshall Green's character is like just being a dick.
Mm.
He's losing his mind. He's going through things.
Yeah.
But the more you start to like unroll the curtain, maybe you're like, maybe he's not losing his mind, and maybe there is something really wrong here. And there's something really terrifying about, and we're seeing this now in our political sphere, about everything pointing to things being like okay, but you know deep down that things are going wrong.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's that like group mindset, that cult mindset that's like terrifying because you feel like you're the only sane person in the room.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
I often do.
You too?
Yes.
Do you feel that right now?
Yes.
His schizophrenic mind is going
There's like
crazy.
10 of us in this room, right?
The food poison. That shrimp got to him.
That I ate a bad shrimp, and it's getting
the holy
it's going to my
shrimp.
head.
I'm hungry.
Let's go to Bubba Gump.
All right.
Let's go to Bubba Gump.
Let's go to Bubba Gump.
Okay.
All right, guys. Bye.
We're going to Bubba Gump.
Let's go to Bubba Gump.